Peter, good to see you and welcome back, everyone. A really important story today. We are talking through a massive data breach. Hackers steal nearly 3 billion social security numbers. So I want to show you this headline, Peter. I know you've seen it already, but essentially hackers may have stolen the social security numbers of every American. And according to the experts, those numbers are now available for free on an online marketplace for stolen personal data. Let's talk through what we can and should do to keep our private information private. First, you suggest placing a credit freeze on your credit accounts with all 3 bureaus.
Yeah, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, those are the 3 bureaus. It is a little bit of a headache to unfreeze them if you do need to apply for new credit somewhere. So when you freeze them, you'll get another secure number that you use to then unfreeze it. And some of those credit bureaus used to charge you to unfreeze it, but they have since waived those, since one of the credit unions was subject to a former data breach of a few years ago. But yeah, I mean, this is basically every single American, right? It's up to 3 billion numbers. If you think about, we've got about 350 million or so citizens today, and Social Security has been around for about 90 years, and every 20 years or so, there's a generation. This is literally like every number that has ever existed has essentially, according to this report and article, unfortunately been released or compromised there. So we've got to be really vigilant, and you've got to try to do what you can to protect yourself. The credit bureau monitoring and checking those credit reports, you're entitled to 1 free per year per bureau. So space those out like every 4 months or so, and sort of just rotate between them so that every 4 months or so you are checking it again, because basically they share the data between each other. And yes, they are all individual. There may be some information on one that is not on another, but if you check them in rotation, you'll have a pretty accurate snapshot of all past and current credit lines that you have available, rotating lines of credit, established lines of credit. And what you're really looking for there is anything that you don't recognize, anything that's new, right? Is if something pops up there and it's got a relatively new history, it's not been established for years and years and years with on-time payments, and you know that you've been making those payments, like if there's anything that you don't recognize, those are things that should immediately kind of capture your attention, and then you call attention to that with that credit bureau.
Right. And that's why number 2 is monitor your accounts closely. It's one thing to freeze your credit because then they can't open new lines of credit, but making sure that we monitor those accounts. Why is that also important?
Well, for existing accounts, right? If they've got your information, maybe there's a way to get into accounts that you are already aware of and utilizing. And that happens as well, right? It's not just that these bad actors, these identity thieves, may open new accounts, but they may also access existing accounts. And you are the safeguard against that. You have got to be proactive and monitor your accounts. And listen, in this world of digital and online banking, unfortunately, people are not paying as close attention to those bank statements as they once did.
Right.
Technology has made it very easy to sort of just assume that everything's going all right and that the math is mathing and that these financial institutions would not have any errors. I remember coming up when my mom used to check her bank statement and balance her checkbook, she would find errors in just the accounting. We're not talking about identity theft or fraud or anything. Errors in the accounting from time to time. Nobody checks that anymore, it seems like, with digital and online banking, let alone the now exponentially additional risk of fraud and identity theft. So just be very vigilant. Check your account balances. With personal banking accounts, you've got a little bit longer to claim a fraud. If something happens, you've got a period of time. With corporate accounts, with commercial and with company bank accounts, you've got 24 hours to mark a fraud if you do find one in that bank account. So just stay on top of that and be on a very regular basis checking all your accounts, which again, even harder today because a lot of us have so many of them spread out across different apps or institutions.
Absolutely.
But very important that you continue to stay vigilant and stay on top of those.
And then next, use two-factor authentication. This one is really important.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's ironic that Social Security, that security is in the name of it, less secure than our cell phones these days. And sure, the cell phone number is out there a little bit more prevalently than our Social Security number should be. But the cell phone, we've got the ability to have immediate verification right in the palm of our hand that, yes, this is me. Here's the text code. Now, that does lead to kind of another concern, is that even the cell phone should certainly be password protected and to be locked, because if somebody gets the cell phone, they really have the keys to the kingdom. They can go and just reset all of the passwords, look at what apps you have, send a reset. Where's it going to send it? Well, it's going to send it to the cell phone. So there's just so many opportunities, unfortunately, bad opportunities these days to be taken advantage of or victim of a fraud. And we have to understand where the vulnerabilities are so that we can try as best as possible to protect ourselves against it.
Right. Just doing one of these things is often not enough, which is why we're kind of stacking them up so we know the best ways. Yeah.
Yep.
So last, we need to remember that the biggest risk is ourselves, right? Hackers are very good at trying to steal our information. It is their job. So you have to be vigilant.
And so many new technologies these days, right? From the voice cloning kind of AI stuff where your little nephew Billy sounds like he's calling you in trouble and needs some money, and it's not really. It's some bad actor that has created this AI likeness. They can even do that with video these days. So it's just so difficult. But talk to family members. Make sure that they understand these risks. Make sure they understand how to verify certain things. Unfortunately, it is particularly the elderly and senior citizens. And actually, what I have read is that studies show it's more often than not males that fall victim to these. I don't know if it's because of the fear of missing out, and if there is, it sounds like this is a good opportunity, let me jump on that. But there's also a high level that never even get reported because people are embarrassed that they've been taken advantage of. So try to speak openly about these risks and concerns with family members. Credit monitoring, identity theft protection are things that 30 years ago, a generation ago, we didn't really have to think about that much. And now they are a staple necessity of part of the personal protections that we put in place for our financial well-being. And we should absolutely talk about that with those that we care about in our family as well.
I'm glad we got to talk this through, Peter, and we will be linking to all 3 credit bureaus so that people can start freezing their accounts. Again, that is a good and important first step. If somebody has any questions, though, Peter, about keeping their private information private, how can they reach you?
Give me a call, 919-300-5886, 919-300-5886 at Richon Planning. And as we help people structure the plans, we talk about these kind of issues, but it really is essential. It is a matter of not only personal responsibility, but this is just one of the baseline protections that we should have in place these days is ongoing, regular kind of monitoring of our credit. And then sometimes working with a trusted professional can help add an additional level of safeguards, because in my industry, on my side, we've got particular training that we go through on how to spot and identify potential fraud and verify information to protect against it. So that can be an advantage of working with an advisor for, your investment accounts, your retirement accounts, and things like that. But bank accounts, you should have that relationship with a banker as well. So just where possible, take those proactive steps. And again, if you'd like to talk with me about it, give me a call, 919-300-5886. You can also visit online. richonplanning.com is what it looks like, richonplanning.com, or email me, peter@richonplanning.com.
All right, Peter, thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Hey folks, Peter Richon here with Richon Planning. So glad that you are enjoying the podcast, Planning Matters Radio. One of the tools that we've put out there that people really seem to appreciate and really are finding of value is at 919retired.com. It is your retirement tax bill calculator. If you've got any kind of retirement account, your tax deferred, 401k, or IRA, this is the website, this is the resource where you can go, you can plug in your own numbers, your information, you can slide the tool calculator up and down for your tax rate or your amount of savings and see what your tax bill is likely to be if you default and defer to the IRS's plan versus what you could potentially bring that tax bill down to. A lot of times it is a very significant savings. So if you have not yet, go to the website 919retired.com, run your numbers on the retirement tax bill calculator.
This has been Planning Matters Radio.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.